Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I have a new topic for discussion, that is kitchen hygiene and microbiology. We know a lot about personal hygiene and microbes, and we follow personal hygiene daily, right? But kitchen hygiene is also very important like personal hygiene as we deal with food and water here, right? So kitchen has many hotspots which dwell microbes, and we will be studying about that in this video. Okay, so let's start. Okay, so these are some microbial hotspots, okay, or these are some spots where you need to take precaution. Okay, you need to act very wisely. Okay, so kitchen countertops or gas stove, then sink, food storage is also very important. Then dustbins, your refrigerator, cutting boards, cleaning scrubs, sponges, your water tanks, filters, etc. Okay, so for safety and hygiene, we frequently do cleaning in our house. Okay, but very important room in our home or house is kitchen, where mostly wet environments are present, and these wet environments are suitable for microbial growth, right? So for example, uh, sink or kitchen countertop, even dustbins, they are wet environments, or there are wet environments. Okay, so proper disinfection and cleanups are very important. It is not like that a spotless kitchen is very hygienic. You need to ensure the food safety as well. Okay, so for that you need to follow some measures daily. So in this video we will see some tips or points regarding hygiene and safety from the microbiologist view. Okay, so ensuring proper hygiene in kitchen when cleaning, preparing, cooking and storing food is critical in order to prevent foodborne illnesses including diarrhea and food poisoning. Okay, so yes, first is very important, and that is washing your hands. It is we can say a personal hygiene rule. So you need to wash your hands. If you have long hairs, tie your hairs while cooking. Okay, so even you need to cut your nails. Okay, if you're daily you're cooking, you're doing all the cleaning and cooking, then you should have these personal hygienes rules followed. Okay, so I had listed here washing your hands, and that is very important because unclean hands is one of the reasons for cross contamination and spreading illness. It sounds very simple, but it is very efficient and effective. Okay, so first is washing your hands, then second is wipe down your countertops and gas stoves. Okay, so wiping kitchen countertops and gas stove after every use is one of the easiest and most important basic kitchen hygiene rule. Okay, you will not only be keeping things clean and tidy, you will be stopping the spread of bacteria too. How? Because most of the times we spill some things, or we drop some things like oil, sauces, flour, or any other thing. So these are the small spots which dwells bacteria. Okay, and you will not even imagine how much bacteria they reside on our countertops and gas stove if they are not cleaned. Okay, or if they are not disinfected properly. Okay, so this will definitely help you means wiping your kitchen countertops and gas stove after every use. Why? Because every time you enter your kitchen you will feel clean and comfortable. You don't need to clean the previous mess and then start cooking. This also saves time. Okay, so you have to put this as your habit. You have to make it as your habit that after cooking, after doing all your work in kitchen, wipe down your countertops and gas stoves. Okay, so you can use a dilute soap solution and sponge or kitchen towel, and you can clean it. Depending on stain or spill, you may require baking soda or vinegar or lemon to scrub out those. Okay, so this was about kitchen tops and gas stoves. In case of microwaves, also many times it happens like if you are making pizza, the cheese drops down, after melting. So you need to wipe down your inside layer of your microwave, okay, every 2 or 3 days using vinegar solution and hot water. Okay, so even your microwave should be clean because you use it for reheating your food now and then. Next is scrub your sink daily. Okay, so during a day time it happens that we keep on piling utensils and plates in sink. Okay, so the utensils and plates are not clean, they have some food residues, or say they are sticky. You use many different things in your cooking, in your food, so they are very good, or they serve as a very good environment for microbial growth. Okay, so your sink also gets involved in the microbial growth, or it gets covered in the microbial growth. So your sink is used regularly throughout the day, so it will become grimy and covered in bacteria quickly if they are not kept clean. So these does not take much time, but that is well worth doing. Just give your sink a quick scrub with a scrubber, or means a scrub or a steel scrub, and your kitchen cleaner once in a day. Okay, so after cleaning or washing your plates, do what you will just scrub your sink using a kitchen cleaner, and using a warm water you can wash your sink. Okay, then wipe up the water around the sink with kitchen towel to keep it hygienic between the scrubs. Okay, so don't pile up your plates and utensils, you should wash them. So next is sanitize your sponges and dishcloths periodically. Okay, so we use sponge, say, many times in a day, at least 3 or 4 times we use a sponge for cleaning purpose, right? So it may not look like why clean the cleaning sponges, but dirty and contaminated sponges and dishcloths are the perfect host for rapid bacterial growth. How? Because even the sponge and your dishcloths or the stainless steel scrubber, they keep on depositing the small food particles. Okay, and bacteria, they grow on these particles for decomposition, and they start rapidly growing on those. So it is very important to clean even your cleaning sponges. Okay, so every few days make sure that you soak your dishcloths and sponges for a few minutes in a solution of, say, 1 tablespoon of liquid chlorine bleach if you have, or even baking soda or liquid soap to warm water is also useful for cleaning and disinfecting them. Okay, so change your dishcloths and sponges every few days or after a month, at least after a month. Okay, the next is sanitize your cutting boards. Why cutting boards? Because we use cutting boards for many purposes, like for chopping vegetables, then cutting meat, fruits, etc. Okay, so cutting boards are indeed be hotbeds for bacterial activity, so it is crucial to keep them clean. As you see them, sorry, as you use them, the cutting board will get nicks and grooves in it from the knife. So these nicks and grooves are what make cleaning and cutting boards tough. Okay, so because they are so minute that cleaning them becomes very difficult. Okay, but you need to clean them thoroughly, because that is where the bacteria gets into, they hide in those nicks and grooves and they keep on growing. Okay, so after each use, wash your cutting board immediately, don't let them dry. Okay, that okay, now I had done my chopping of vegetables, so you don't leave it as it is. You had done your work, finish your chopping, so just go to sink and wash it immediately. Okay, so with warm soap water, or you can rinse it and wipe down with a paper towel. Once in a week, sanitize your cutting boards with a solution of liquid chlorine bleach or soap water. Even rubbing baking soda and or salt with lemon on cutting board and cleaning it with warm water works best. Okay, so even FDA also recommends that you use one cutting board for bread and fresh produce and another for seafood, raw meat and poultry to avoid cross contamination. Okay, so as I told you that in those small nicks and grooves, bacteria they keep hiding and growing. So these are the points from where cross contamination between your food can happen. Okay, so use different cutting boards for meat and seafood and raw meat, and for bread and fresh produce you use another one. Next is clean and organizing your refrigerator. Okay, so this is also a very good hotspot. Your fridge can be a breeding ground for bacteria if you don't clean it regularly. Wipe off any spills inside the fridge immediately and give it a once over with uh, some warm water and a small squirt of dishwashing liquid once every week. Okay, so what you can do, you can use a dishwashing liquid and warm water to wipe out the partitions that are used in refrigerators. If there are some spills, you can wipe out using this. You can also use a solution of 2 tablespoons of baking soda in 1 quarter of warm water and use this to wipe down your fridge. Cleaning your fridge regularly also lets you discard unwanted hidden items in the fridge that are sitting there for a while. Okay, many times this happens that we think, okay, I can use this later, but you forget, and that item or that food, it is there waiting for a while, or it is sitting there for a while and you forgot to use that, so you need to discard that, right? So cleaning your fridge in this way is also very important. Make sure to toss out all the food that is past its used by date. That means expiry date. You need to check the expiry date of your foods. Also clear any spoiled veggies or debris from the food and produce. If you have any leftovers, cover and store them in fridge or freezer within 2 hours of cooking. This is also a very important point. If you have some leftovers, then you cover them in a proper uh, box, or say in a bottle, and then you store them. And if you have something that can be freezed in a freezer, then make sure that within 2 hours of cooking you do that. Okay, making sure they have completely cooled first. Okay, then make partitions for fruits and veggies, then daily needs, and meat and fish. Okay, don't keep everything together, right? So this will also help prevent cross contamination and spoilage. Okay, so now briefly I will be talking here about microbial food spoilage. Okay, so this can be defined as biological process which involves microorganisms, and they can degrade and decompose the food material at optimal environmental conditions like temperature, pH, oxygen, moisture, and bring some undesirable change which makes the food unedible to eat. Okay, so you cannot have a spoiled food because that can cause you some illness, right? So how this happens? Firstly, microbes they attack, then they start degradation of food, and this degradation leads to physical changes. Okay, and then enzymatic reaction and decomposition just goes on. Okay, so what are the microbes that attack your food? For example, bacteria, yeast and mold. Okay, so I will give some examples here. In case of yeast, you will find Saccharomyces or Zygosaccharomyces, then Candida or Rhodotorula growing in your food. Then in case of mold, you can find some fungi which are from genera, say Aspergillus, Penicillium, Fusarium, and bacteria, like in case of veggies you will find lactic acid bacteria, then staphylococci. In raw milk you can find bacillus. In cheese you will find campylobacter. In meat you will find acinetobacter and pseudomonas. Okay, so these are some examples of bacteria, yeast and mold. And what are the changes that you can observe and say that okay, now this has gone, or the food is spoiled. So there is a change in appearance. So the appearance of food changes by the microbial attack, which forms cloudiness or liquid formation in the food, or even sometimes you may find a sticky substance, right? So in case of say milk or curd, you will find a liquid formation and a slimy growth. Then change in texture. So texture changes occurs as a result of slime formation due to and accumulation of microbial cells and tissue degradation. Okay, so this also comes in the same example. The texture of milk changes, right, when it curdles or it gets spoiled. The next is color change. So color changes due to the chlorophyll breakdown and by the growth of mycelia. Okay, for example, veggies, your vegetables or fruits, they show color change. Even in case of curd, I can say when there is unwanted yeast growing, they produce some pigment. So you can observe a color change towards the sides of your curd, say yellow or pink color is observed in case of curd. Okay, then change in taste and odor. The taste and odor of food changes due to the oxidation of nitrogenous compounds, sulfides, and organic acids. Okay, so this is also a very obvious observation, and depending on this, you can determine whether the food is okay to eat or not. Okay, the next is use of clean and filtered water. This is also very important. In almost every stage of cooking, we use water, right? From washing fruits and vegetables to cleaning plates and forks, etc. Use of pure and clean water without any bacterial contamination is very important for cooking. Water acts as a medium in cooking, and in some or the other way we are going to consume it. Okay, so this helps in minimizing the cross contamination and growth of unwanted microbes in your food. The next is thoroughly cooked food. So one of the most important food hygiene rules is to ensure the food is cooked properly. If undercooked, harmful bacteria could lead to food poisoning. So, for example, in case of meat, you need to check this. You cut into the food, you cut into the meat to check that it is cooked thorough, and make sure any reheating food is piping hot. Okay, so this was about cooking food. The next is storage of food. Okay, so this has three different parts. So first is storage of dry goods. In many types of food don't need to be kept in the fridge, right? For example, dry food like rice, pasta, grain, flour, many types of drinks, tin foods, and unopened jars. But it's still important to take care how to store them, right? So here are some tips. You can use sealed bags or containers. This helps to keep them fresh and help increase the shelf life. Don't store food in containers that have been used previously for some other purpose. Then keep your storeroom cool, dry, and well ventilated. Avoid storing food in direct sunlight because sunlight promotes oxidation and the subsequent loss of food nutritional values and quality. Remember that some types of food might need to be kept in fridge once they are opened. Okay, so follow any storage instructions given on your food label. Next is storing food in freezer. So you can keep food safely in freezer as long as it has stayed frozen for the whole time. However, the taste and texture of the food changes if it's frozen for too long. Okay, so check instructions on food labels. It should be all right to freeze raw or cooked food providing you do the following things. So freeze it before the use by date. Then follow any freezing or thawing instructions on the label. Defrost it in the fridge so that it does not get too warm. Okay, so many times it happens that people don't know about defrosting, so they keep the, say, raw meat is there, and they will keep that for defrosting or thawing on the countertop. So there is a sudden fluctuation in temperature, right? So to avoid that and to avoid growth of microbes, you should do thawing in freeze. Okay, then try to use the defrost food within 1 or 2 days after it has been defrosted. It will go off in the same way as it was fresh. Okay, so that's why you need to ensure that you finish that particular food item within 1 or 2 days. Then ensure food is thoroughly defrosted before cooking. When defrosting frozen meat and fish, it can happen that it will produce a lot of liquid. Okay, so if you are defrosting raw meat or fish, this liquid can spread bacteria to food plates or surfaces that it touches. So keep the meat and fish in a sealed container at the bottom of your fridge so that it cannot touch or drip into the other foods. If you defrost meat, raw meat or fish, and then cook it thoroughly, you can freeze it again. Okay, so this is regarding fish and raw meat. Then storing food in refrigerator. Okay, so some food needs to be kept in freeze to help stop bacteria from growing on it. So such as food with a use by date, cooked food or ready to eat food such as desserts and cooked meats, ice creams, etc. So keep food covered and protect it from contamination from raw foods and physical objects. Then always store cooked food above your raw meat in the refrigerator. This will eliminate the risk of contamination from bacteria and blood through spillage. Do not store food in open cans. Do not overstock the fridge as this will affect the airflow around the food. Do not put hot food in the fridge as into refrigerator as this will rise the internal temperature of your fridge and place other foods at the risk of or at the risk from the poor cooling temperatures. Discard unwanted and expired food. Okay, so this was about storing food. Then we have dustbins. Okay, so bins can get smelly in warm weather and they keep on attracting flies. Okay, so managing your waste carefully can prevent this kind of problems. So what can you do? You can wrap your waste food, and bagging all other waste will keep your beans clean. You can rinse your beans uh, with detergent and then sun dry them. If possible, store your wheeled beans out of direct sunlight as the sun will warm up the bean and it will increase the degradation or decomposition, and this will lead to increased smell and attract flies. Alternative, you can use biodegradable bags. This will also minimize your work of cleaning dustbins internally. Okay, so then next is remove garbage regularly and properly. Don't keep on piling your garbage. Try to separate wet and dry garbage in separate bins. Okay, so whether it's following food hygiene rules, changing your beans often, or keeping your worktops clean. These basic kitchen hygiene rules will help you protect your family against food poisoning and food illness. Okay, so these were some 10 points that I think are very important to look after and take care of in your kitchen. So, quick tips for kitchen hygiene. So, keep your refrigerator at or lower than 40 degrees Fahrenheit to slow down the growth of bacteria. If hand washing, if hand washing your dishes, then allow them to air dry instead of wiping with a dishcloth to keep bacteria at bay. Don't leave out dirty dishes to pile up in your sink. Wipe down the inside of your microwave every 1 or 2 days using a hot water and vinegar solution. Then clean splatters and grease piles from the stove top after each use. Wipe down cabinets, door handles, fridge, your refrigerator door handle, then faucet and sinks with antibacterial disinfectant spray whenever it is possible for you. Lastly, we are going to repeat this: always wash your hands before handling food and definitely after handling raw meats. Okay, do wash your hands. So this was all about kitchen hygiene and microbiology. I hope this video is useful to you all. Thank you for watching. Do like my videos, share these videos with your friends, and do subscribe to my channel. Thank you.